Hello, my lovely ladies and my new listeners. Thank you for joining me on the Menopause Made the podcast. This is the third attempt at this podcast. My power went out, then my internet shut down, and so three times the lucky charm. Let's get going. So I am so glad that you are here today. Today we are going to dive into something that really hits home for a lot of us. And what I did was basically I talked about dark calories last week, and I'm taking chapter 4, I think it is, and it's called Fat Bodies, Starving Minds. Yes, it is chapter 4. And it's the focus. What I wanted to talk about today is take this chapter and put it into the context of a menopausal woman and what that means to us so that we can shed this fat from our body and improve our mental health, our brains. All right. So I honestly think this is going to be a game changer for how we understand weight gain, cravings, and feeling stuck, especially during this perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal adventure. So grab a cup of tea or whatever you've got, grab a coffee, take me for a walk or on your commute, and let's dive into this. All right. So when we hear fat bodies, a lot of us automatically think that it's about overeating or not having enough willpower. And we know it's not about willpower. It's not about discipline. It's really about how our cells are communicating. All right. So what if the real problem isn't that we're eating too much? It's that our brains are literally starving. So you've heard me talk about for years, decades actually, that we are undernourished and overfed. Okay, undernourished and overfed. And it explains so much about why, even when we try to eat less and eat healthier, that our bodies resist weight loss and our brains are screaming for food. And we think we're in control, but we're not. All right. So we're going to dig into this here. And then I'm going to answer some listener questions at the end. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the concept breakdown, a little bit of science, not to get too technical, but our fat cells just aren't passive storage units. Okay, so remember you have extra energy, gets stored in your fat cell, and they're actually metabolically active. They actually send messages, okay? They release signals like hormones and inflammatory chemicals that talk directly to your brain up here, okay? So you have all your trillions of cells, and then they go up and they communicate with your brain, and this brain is getting confused. It's getting confused messages because it thinks we're starving even though we're carrying extra fat. Okay, and we're specifically kind of talking about those PUFAs, those seed oils, right? And how, if you listen to last week, how they're actually changing our body fat composition in our body. So not all fats are bad, okay? Fats are actually very good for you. Is that we want to stay away from the hateful eight. All right, so listen to last week's podcast for that. So our brain is confused. It thinks we're starving even though we just ate. And even though we have this extra fat that it could tap into, which I've done many episodes on fat burning or sugar burning versus fat burning. So you can listen to those episodes as well. So it's like trying to drive with a GPS that's stuck in a loop, turn left, turn right, recalculating, turn left, turn right, recalculating, right? And our bodies are storing fat and sending urgent signals for us to eat more at the same time. That's confusing. Eat more, don't eat more, don't eat. Store fat, you're hungry. Okay. So when with all this chaos happening, it's no wonder we feel like tired and foggy and hungry and frustrated. And it's not your imagination. It's not your fault. It really is not your fault. We have been hijacked by I don't want to use this word, but a corrupt system that maybe at one time didn't know what they were doing, but they absolutely, I think they absolutely know. Like the science, everybody trying to, you know, some neuroscientists talking. I don't know. Anyway, things are changing, but I would say that it's not a fast change because seed oils are so cheap that they can make our food cheaply and make good profit. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So let's dive into what's going on here. Okay, so there's a few big players involved, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Leptin. Leptin, this is the hormone that normally tells our brain, hey, we've got enough fat, you can stop eating. Okay, you feel full, you can stop eating. And I have to tell you, I was a 10 out of 10 leptin resistance. I could not hear that message in my body, and I'm teaching myself how to move through leptin resistance. And I did a great episode a few back. Okay, so that's one thing we want to dial in on. All right, so when we have too much fat, especially the stubborn fat that tends to show up in menopause, right? Our brain can actually become resistant to leptin, meaning that the messages get ignored and the brain thinks, oh no, you don't have enough fat, you must eat more. So if you are feeling this, one of the things you might have to step back and heal your leptin, your hormone leptin, okay? Insulin. Now, we've all heard of insulin and blood sugar because that's really mainstream. We're hearing a lot about this now. All right. And with menopause, many of us become more insulin resistant too, which means our bodies store more fat even when we don't want them to. Okay. So we are more insulin resistant because we're going through this menopausal journey, which sucks, quite frankly. Okay. And it's like our bodies are trying to hoard energy for a winter that's never coming. All right. So we've got leptin, we've got insulin, and then we have inflammation. And chronic low-grade inflammation scrambles all the signals even further. And inflammation blocks the brain's ability to recognize fullness, regulate appetite, and keep metabolism humming along. Okay, so the bottom line is that at midlife, our fat tissues start hijacking the communication lines between our bodies and our brains. And the result is we can feel hungry, fatigued, sick, and even if we think we're doing everything right, we're exercising right, and we are eating right. And as I shared with you in last week's episode, when you think you are eating healthy and then you check your labels, it's astounding how many of the hateful eight are in your healthy products. All right. So let me tell you about a friend, Lisa. We'll call her Lisa. And Lisa hit menopause at 52. She was walking every day. She was eating a super clean diet, according to her, lots of salads, cutting carbs, the whole deal. Remember what I said about salad last week, but anyway. And yet the weight kept creeping on. And she says, Tanya, my body doesn't listen to me anymore. I'm doing the things I used to do, but it's not responding. And after learning about this concept, the starving brain, Lisa realized her body wasn't just ignoring her efforts. It was working against her, thinking she was in famine. Okay. And when she stopped focusing on eating less and started focusing on nourishing, okay, her brain and metabolism, remember, we are undernourished and overfed, things finally started shifting. Okay, so we need less restriction and more support. And so by working together, she did some of these changes and she started feeling like herself again. Okay, our bodies are craving protein, healthy fats, and some healthy carbohydrates. All right, so what are some things that we can take away from this, just to keep it really short? And then I'm going to give you some questions that I've been getting. All right, so I just said them again, but I will recap. Eat healthy protein, okay? If you are not, so it basically in general, eat enough. I know most people that I chat with are not eating enough high quality food, okay? High quality food. So protein and healthy fats. right? Starving yourself just confirms your brain's fear that food is scarce. And this is different than fasting. Okay, it's different than fasting, and you got to go listen to my episodes unless you want to work with me or come into my midlife reboot. Okay, this is where we focus on you, or else you can pull all the information together, okay, and figure it out for yourself. But you got to eat enough quality food. You must balance your blood sugars, right? So focus on meals that combine protein, fiber, and healthy fats. No more crazy blood sugar roller coaster rides. Hands up, went on so many of those in my life. So many. I was on so many because I didn't know better. Didn't know better. This wasn't talked about. Okay. You must move your body strategically. Okay. I've talked about a balanced menopausal movement plan. Walking, strength training, gentle movement, which helps to restore insulin sensitivity and lower your inflammation. And then we must manage stress. Okay. So guess what? Like cortisol, our stress hormone, only makes the brain more convinced we're in danger and needs to store fat. So years ago, 2022, 23, when I was teaching this stuff, I was teaching people that when you're stressed, it's like eating a donut. Okay. Your body is holding on and storing. It needs to store that fat because when you are stressed, you have to really think about and understand this. And again, you might not think you're stressed, but your body is stressed. Your cells are stressed. When you are stressed, your body is not thinking of anything else. It's not thinking of losing weight, losing fat, having babies, getting healthy, nothing. It's focused on getting you out of danger, and it puts all of its attention there. All right. So we must learn to manage our stress. And one really great way is making sure we are getting deep restorative sleep, which is a secret weapon for resetting leptin and insulin sensitivity. Okay. So I just want you to remember before I go into these questions, you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not out of control. You are a woman living through a profound hormonal shift, and your body is trying to protect you the best way it knows how, even if that's incredibly frustrating at times. Okay. But once we really understand what's going on, we can work with our bodies, not against them. And that's when the real healing and the real transformation begins. Okay. So I'm going to answer some questions here, and we will, I'm just going to scroll down to my questions. Okay, here they are. All right, so question number 1, where is it? I'm trying to find it. Sorry, I thought I had it right here. Sorry, so sorry. So sorry, I'm British. Where did it go? See, we're not editing. Perhaps I will just sing a song, make it happy. All right, here it is. Okay, so here's one of the questions. If I'm gaining fat but still feeling hungry all the time, am I just imagining it? And no, you're not imagining it. Your body is biologically wired to survive, and right now it's confused about what's actually happening. Okay, I've said this a lot. So your body is living in 2025, but your brain thinks it's the ice age. We have an evolutionary mismatch. Okay, so you have to remember that our fat cells, so some of this I've already gone over, your fat cells aren't just storage units, they're active and they're sending messages to your brain all day long. Your menopause hits and your estrogen levels drop, your signals get scrambled, and your brain thinks you don't have enough energy. You're carrying this extra fat around and your brain panics, thinks that you're starving. Okay, so in answer to Laura's question, it's really talking about the leptin. Okay, so leptin is that hormone that tells your brain we're full, we're good, you can stop eating. But when we gain body fat, we can develop leptin resistance, meaning that the brain is ignoring leptin's messages. So your brain thinks you're starving even if you have plenty of fat stores. All right, so again, you're going to have to go through and see, break down, listen to that episode on leptin resistance to really see if there's something before, like that, getting back to that root cause. All right. Okay, now Jen says, is there a way to fix leptin resistance, or am I stuck with it forever? Okay, and it's not a life sentence. All right, it's not a life sentence, but there's things like eating enough protein, which I know women are not, because I see what they're eating, balancing their blood sugars. So I think a lot of us are getting better at this, but you're better off, say, having a little bit of something rather than a lot of like cake, chips, pop, right? All those things that are exploding that blood sugar level up. So really keeping it balanced. Check in on your sleeping. Check with your circadian rhythm. I've done a lot of episodes on that. Begin reducing inflammation in your body can actually help your brain start to hear these leptin signals again. All right. So remember, insulin goes out of whack, which often happens at midlife, and your body starts hoarding fat. Okay, and even healthy foods can spike your blood sugar if your metabolism isn't working properly. And then when you have this inflammation, you have this low-grade inflammation, which messes with everything, and it blocks your brain's ability to recognize fullness and manage cravings. Okay, so during menopause, like I've said before, our entire body communication system between the brain and the fat cell goes a little haywire. All right, so we need to, again, just like Laura, we need to, Jen, like look at leptin. I did an episode, go back, listen to it. This, everybody, this is work, okay? This is not just about calories. This is about going back and seeing if you have signs of leptin resistance and how to heal it. Okay. So Lisa, I think we talked about this one already, but 52, yeah, we did. Eat clean, cut carbs, scale keeps creeping up, body doesn't listen to me anymore. And this is also Maria's question. So they kind of have the same question here. I'm eating healthy, but it feels like nothing works anymore. How do I know if my brain is stuck in starvation mode? Okay, so if you're constantly feeling hungry, tired, foggy, or storing fat around the middle, that's a pretty big clue. And so your body thinks you're facing a famine, even though food is right there. So again, it's shifting this approach to figure out your activity level, your basal metabolic rate, the quality of the food that you're eating, not being so restrictive, more nourishment, and slowly, and this is one thing I see that really hinders a lot of people's success, is patience. Patience, 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 okay? Your body will start trusting you again. So a lot of women come to me and they say, Tanya, I'm not losing weight. Well, it may not be how you want to lose weight, but your body has to develop this trust again. It has to go through your blood sugar, your insulin, your leptin. Like it's not just black and white. Okay. But you can find the magic formula for you. You just have to keep working at it. Okay. Oh my God, I've been working at it and working at it. And you have to turn it into like a game and make it fun. Okay. So let's see here. Danielle says, if my brain thinks I'm starving, should I eat more even if I'm trying to lose weight? So this is a great question. And the answer is not more junk food, but yes, eat more real nourishment. And I was having these conversations with my kids the other day, and I said, healthy eating is not expensive. It is not expensive to eat healthy. Start going to the grocery store and picking up the crap that your body actually doesn't need, and that is what increases your bill. So if you really start to eat like the right amount of chicken, right amount of steak, right amount of healthy protein, some avocados, you eat in season, okay, and you forget about all the packaged food and the crap, it's amazing. Your grocery bill will come down. Like I have seen it. Okay. So you may feel like you're spending more money on good quality stuff, but I know from my clients, they're like, I'm actually spending less on better food, like overall, when they just feed themselves properly. Okay. So for this question for Danielle, it's that you want to eat real nourishment. All right. And then because when you nourish your brain properly, you stop triggering these survival alarms. Okay. And so here's 5 ways. And I've said them before, but it's always good to hear them again. Eat enough, especially protein and healthy fats. Okay. Starving yourself. Starving again is different than fasting because fasting is not starving. Fasting means you have learned to switch from a sugar burner immediate to a fat burner, which is your storage fat. It's so different. You really have to understand that. All right. So starving yourself backfires and convinces your brain that food is scarce, but eating enough nutrition and fasting is different. All right. Balance your blood sugar. So every meal should combine protein, fiber, and fat to keep your energy steady. Walk, move your body. That's the name of my studio, Move Your Body Studio. Walking, resistance training, gentle movement can help heal insulin resistance. You've got to manage your stress, okay, because that's feeding your fat storing cycle, and sleeping helps to reset leptin and insulin sensitivity. It's not optional. It's crucial that you guys get these nailed in. All right. So I hope that kind of reinforced the importance of it's not hard work, but it's different work. So we're going to read our labels and get those PUFAs out of our diet. We're going to make sure we're eating enough high quality, healthy fats and proteins and complex carbohydrate or fiber. Okay. Complex carbohydrate comes with fiber. We're going to manage our stress, manage our sleep, and move our body. And if you're not doing those things, and I would also add in circadian rhythm, if you're not doing those basic things, you must nail those down and listen to that leptin resistant podcast and start to build your program. And if you need help, I am here. I do one-on-one with people, and I do a midlife reboot group coaching call every Monday at 11 o'clock. Okay, and you can always catch the replay. Send me your questions. So if you are not doing these simple things that are not easy, okay, they're simple, but they're not easy, consistently, that is what you need to work on. All righty. Okay, so I love your questions. Thank you for sending them in. It keeps this conversation really grounded and real. And if you have questions, by all means, send them to me and I will do my best to answer them as I'm going along here. Thank you for listening. Please share, subscribe, and like my podcast. I would appreciate that. And I will see you in the next episode.